Okay, now we're going to do chapter 4 of Their Eyes Are Watching God.
Long before the year was up, Janie noticed that her husband had stopped talking in rhymes to her, yet ceased to wonder at her long black hair and finger it. 6 months back, he had told her, "If I can haul the wood here and chop it for you, look like you ought to be able to tote it inside." Now, my first wife never bothered me about chopping no wood nohow. She'd grab that axe and sling chips like a man. You done been spoiled rotten. So Janie told him, "I'm just as stiff as you is stout. If you can stand not to chop and tote wood, I reckon you can stand not to get no dinner. Excuse my frivolity, Mr. Killings, but I don't mean to chop the first chip." "Oh, you know I'm going to chop the wood for you, even if you is stingy as you can be with me. Your grandma and me myself done spoilt you now, and I reckon I have to keep on with it." One morning soon, he called her out of the kitchen to the barn. He had the mule all saddled at the gate. "Look here, little bit, help me out some. Cut up these seed taters for me. I got to go step off a piece." "Where you going?" "Over to Lake City to see a man about a mule." "What you need two mules for? Less'n you aims to swap off this one." "No, I needs two mules this year. Taters is gonna be taters in the fall, bringing big prices. I aims to run two plows, and this man I'm talking about is got a mule all gentle up so even a woman can handle him." Logan held his wad of tobacco real still in his jaw, like a thermometer of his feelings, while he studied Janie's face and waited for her to say something. "So I thought I might as well go see," he tagged on, and swallowed to kill time. But Janie said nothing except, "I'll cut the potatoes for you. When you coming back?" "Don't know exactly. Round dusk dark, I reckon. It's a sort of a long trip, especially if I have to lead one on the way back." When Janie had finished indoors, she sat down in the barn with potatoes. But springtime reached her in there, so she moved everything to a place in the yard where she could see the road. The noon sun filtered through the leaves of the fine oak tree where she sat and made lacy patterns on the ground. She had been there a long time when she heard whistling coming down the road. It was a city-fied, stylish-dressed man, with his hat set at an angle that didn't belong in these parts. His coat was over his arm, but he didn't need it to represent his clothes. The shirt with the silk sleeve holders was dazzling enough for the world. He whistled, mopped his face, and walked like he knew where he was going. He was a seal brown color, but he acted like Mr. Washburn or somebody like that to Janie. Where would such a man be coming from, and where was he going?
So before we move on to like Joe Stark's questions, first of all, one of the things that's interesting is the fact that Logan Killick plans on running two plows. How's he going to run two plows if he's one person? Huh? How do we think? We know how he's going to do that. The next question is how had this is a question I have to answer. How had Logan's treatment of Janie changed before the year was up? Answer that question. And now, after you answer that question, the city-fied looking man is named Joe Starks, and we're going to learn about him now.
He didn't look her way, nor no other way except straight ahead. So Janie ran to the pump and jerked the handle hard while she pumped. It made a loud noise and also made her heavy hair fall down. So he stopped and looked hard, and then he asked her for a cool drink of water. Janie pumped it off until she got a good look at the man. He talked friendly while he drank. Joe Starks was the name. Yeah, Joe Starks from in and through Georgia. Been working for white folks all his life. Saved up some money, around $300. Yes, indeed. Right here in his pocket. Kept hearing about them building a new state down here in Florida and sort of wanted to come. But he was making money where he was. But when he heard all about him making a town all out of colored folks, he knew that was the place he wanted to be. He had always wanted to be a big voice. But the white folks had all the say-so where he come from and everywhere else, except in this place that colored folks was building themselves. That was right, too. The man that built things ought to boss it. Let colored folks build things, too, if they wants to crow or something. He was glad he had his money all saved up. He meant to get there whilst the town was yet a baby. He had meant to buy in big. It had always been his wish and desire to be a big voice, and he had to live nearly 30 years to find a chance. Where was Janie's papa and mama? They dead, I reckon. I wouldn't know about them 'cause my grandma raised me. She did, too. She did, too. Well, who's looking after a little girl child like you? I'm married. You married? You ain't hardly old enough to be weaned. I bet you still crave sugar tits, don't you? Yeah, and I makes and sucks them when the notion strikes me. Drink sweetening water, too. I love that myself. Never expects to get too old to enjoy syrup sweetening water when it's cool and nice. Us got plenty syrup in the barn. Ribbon cane syrup, if you so desires. Where your husband at, My name is Janie Mae Killix since I got married. Used to be Janie Mae Crawford. My husband is going to buy a mule for me to plow. He left me cutting up seed potatoes. You behind the plow? You ain't got no more business with a plow than a hog has got with a holiday. You ain't got no business cutting up no seed potatoes neither. A pretty doll baby like you is made to sit on the front porch and rock and fan yourself and eat potatoes that other folks plant just special for you. Janie laughed and drew 2 quarts of syrup from the barrel, and Joe Starks pumped the water bucket full of cool water. They sat under the tree and talked. He was going on down to the new part in Florida, but no harm to stop and chat. He later decided he needed a rest anyway. It would do him good to rest a week or two. Every day after that, they managed to meet in the scrub oaks across the road and talk about when he would be a big ruler of things, with her reaping the benefits. Janie pulled back a long time because he did not represent sunup and pollen and blooming trees. But he spoke for far horizon. He spoke for change and chance. Still, she hung back. The memory of Nanny was still powerful and strong. Janie, if you think I aims to toll you off and make a dog out of you, you's wrong. I wants to make a wife out of you. You mean that, Joe? The day you put your hand in mine, I wouldn't let the sun go down on a single. I'm a man with principles. You ain't never known what it was to be treated like a lady, and I wants to be the one to show you. Call me Jody, like you do sometimes. Jody. She smiled up at him. But supposing, leave disposing and everything else to me. I'll be down this road a little after sunup tomorrow morning to wait for you. You come go with me. Then all the rest of your natural life, you can live like you ought. Kiss me and shake your head. When you do that, your plentiful hair breaks like day. Janie.
So, got 2 questions to answer. Why did Joe Starks want to go to Florida? There's multiple answers required. There's more than one and less than four, or less than three. Next question, what did Joe Starks do to impress Janie? Again, multiple answers are required, and there's more than one and less than five. Okay, so whichever ones you think are correct. So now Joe Starks has made his moves on Janie, and he says we're going to go down to Florida and live in all color town, or all black town, all African American town in Florida. So she's very impressed with this young man who's like cityfied. He's not what we call good looking, but he's also not ugly. He's got style, and that's kind of what attracts her to him.